Jack wiped the sweat from his brow as he closed the mining equipment bay for the night. 10 years on Kepler 442b had taught him that the twin suns set quickly, and working in darkness on this frontier world meant risking encounters with the local wildlife, most of which considered humans a delicacy. The mining colony of New Haven was humanity's furthest outpost, a testament to human stubbornness and ingenuity. Where other species had deemed the planet too hostile, too remote or too resource-poor to bother with, humans had looked at the chalcopyrite deposits and rare earth minerals and said, "We'll make it work." As Jack walked toward the mess hall, a commotion near the colony's edge caught his attention. Two small figures huddled behind the fusion generator housing, their scales glimmering in the artificial lights. Jack's hand instinctively moved to his plasma pistol, then stopped. These weren't the massive predators that usually threatened the colony. These were children. Dragon children, to be precise. Each no larger than a human toddler, their wings folded tight against their backs, their golden scales dulled by malnutrition and fear. Their large luminescent eyes tracked Jack's every movement as he approached slowly, hands visible and empty. "Hey there," Jack said softly, crouching down. "You two look hungry." The larger of the two dragons, Jack assumed it was the elder sibling, hissed weakly, positioning itself protectively in front of the smaller one. But even through the bravado, Jack could see the desperation in their eyes. These weren't threats. They were refugees. Jack had heard rumors of the Dragon Empire's civil war. The draconic species had ruled a vast portion of the galaxy for millennia, their technology and natural abilities making them nearly unstoppable. But even mighty empires could fracture, and when they did, it was always the innocent who suffered most. "Wait here," Jack said, backing away slowly. "I'll be right back." He returned 20 minutes later with a thermal container full of the colony's best rations, real earth beef stew, not the synthetic stuff, and 2 bottles of purified water. The dragon children watched him with a mixture of suspicion and desperate hope as he set the food down and retreated several steps. The smaller dragon couldn't help itself. It darted forward and began devouring the stew with tiny, eager claws. The elder held back for a moment longer before hunger overrode caution. Jack visited them every night for 2 weeks, bringing food and water, slowly earning their trust. He learned their names through careful gestures and the few words of galactic standard they knew. Ember was the elder at what appeared to be 7 years old in human terms, and Spark was barely 5. They had fled their homeworld when the Crimson Talon faction had begun systematically eliminating anyone loyal to Empress Zarathul. When the colony's administrator discovered the dragons, Jack expected trouble. Instead, Daisy Chen, the tough-as-nails former military officer who ran New Haven, surprised him. "They're kids, Jack," she said, watching Ember and Spark play with a simple holographic puzzle Jack had given them. "War orphans. We've all been there." Her hand unconsciously moved to the scar across her left temple, a souvenir from the Centauri conflict. "They can stay, but they're your responsibility." So Jack became an unlikely guardian to 2 dragon refugees on humanity's most remote frontier. He taught them English, showed them human games, and shared stories of Earth's history. In return, they taught him about dragon culture, their natural abilities, and the complex politics of the Empire. Ember proved gifted with the colony's computer systems, her natural electromagnetic sensitivity, allowing her to interface with technology in ways that amazed the human engineers. Spark, despite being younger, showed an intuitive understanding of geology that made her invaluable in the mines. The dragons weren't just refugees anymore, they were New Haven colonists. Life settled into a comfortable routine until the morning Jack woke to find 3 massive starships hanging in Kepler 442b's orbit like dark omens. The ships were unlike anything in human military records, sleek organic curves that seemed to shift and flow even while stationary. Dragon Empire vessels, but flying the golden banner of the Empress herself. The largest ship had to be over 2 kilometers long, bristling with weapons that could reduce New Haven to ash in seconds. Jack found Daisy in the command center, her face grim as she monitored communications. "They're asking for you, Jack, specifically, and they want Ember and Spark." The landing party that descended an hour later was a sight to behold. 12 dragons in gleaming ceremonial armor, each standing nearly 3 meters tall, their wings spread wide in a display that was equal parts magnificent and terrifying. At their head strode a dragon whose scales seemed to contain entire galaxies, her presence radiating authority that made the air itself feel heavy. But when Ember and Spark saw the lead dragon, they didn't cower. They ran toward her with cries of joy, throwing their small arms around her massive legs. The terrifying dragon warrior's demeanor immediately softened as she gathered the children against her. "I am General Kithra, right claw of Empress Zarathul," the dragon announced, her voice like controlled thunder. "I have come for the human who showed mercy to the heirs of the dragon throne." Jack stepped forward, Daisy beside him, both humans dwarfed by the assembled dragons. "That would be me, Jack Morrison." General Kithara studied him for a long moment. 10 years ago, when our empire burned with civil war, you found 2 frightened children and showed them kindness. You asked for nothing in return. You protected them, fed them, taught them. You gave them a home when their own people had failed them. Ember stepped away from the general and ran to Jack, hugging his legs. "Jack, Papa," she said clearly, using the human word she'd learned for father. The Empress herself has decreed that any species capable of such compassion toward dragonkind, especially toward her own grandchildren, deserves recognition. General Kithara continued. "Humanity is hereby granted full membership in the Galactic Council, with all rights and protections thereof. Your species will want for nothing." Jack looked down at Ember and Spark, then at Daisy's shocked expression, then at the massive dragon general. "Do the kids have to go back?" General Kithara's laugh was like distant thunder. "Young Ember has already informed me that she intends to establish the first dragon-human technological exchange on this very world. Spark wishes to revolutionize mining techniques throughout the galaxy. The Empress has agreed to both requests." She leaned closer to Jack, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Besides, they have quite adamantly told me that their Jack Papa needs them to help him run his mine thingy." As the dragons prepared to establish a permanent embassy on New Haven, Jack watched Ember excitedly explaining human mining equipment to General Kithara, while Spark chattered with the other guards about her geological discoveries. 10 years ago, Jack had simply seen 2 hungry children who needed help. He'd acted on the most basic human instinct, to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. Now that simple act of compassion had elevated humanity to a position among the stars they never could have achieved through force or cunning alone. Sometimes Jack reflected the most human thing you could do was to simply be human. That evening, as 3 civilizations celebrated their new alliance under alien stars, Daisy found Jack sitting on the observation deck, watching the dragon's ships maintain their protective orbit around New Haven. "So," she said, settling beside him, "ready to be the most famous human in the galaxy?" Jack smiled, watching Ember and Spark play chase with young dragon guards in the courtyard below. "I think I'll stick to mining. It's less complicated." "Jack? Yeah? You saved our entire species today. You know that, right?" Jack shrugged. "I just gave some hungry kids dinner. Everything else, that's just what humans do." And in the growing darkness of an alien world, surrounded by the sounds of 3 species learning to build something new together, that simple truth felt like the most powerful force in the galaxy.